Rostraver family, hope you're doing well, hope you're staying safe. We are going to continue in these Monday devotionals, but I wanted to switch things up a little bit and start a new series. This series we're calling The Remedy. We are currently in the yellow phase of this quarantine, and we're hoping and praying that the green phase will come, and we're grateful that the red phase is over, but we find ourselves literally in a waiting period. We're not in green, we're not in red, we're in yellow. And with being in a waiting period comes a lot of fears and anxieties because we don't know what's going to happen. And so I wanted to create a small series for us that is based off a method that I have incorporated in my life that has helped me to overcome fear and anxiety in my life. With that being said, I wanted to focus on our first practice today, which is that you will be anxious. You will be anxious in life, and you have to acknowledge that. There's just no denying the fact that we will find ourselves in different times in our lives where we are anxious and fearful for what's going to happen. But in those moments, I want to encourage you that you can turn those fears and anxieties into confidence and trust. King David, in my opinion, understood what it meant to live in constant fear and anxiety. His fame had been rising, and King Saul had become so envious that he came to the point where he wanted to kill David. And so David became a fugitive, and he was on the run for almost 2 years. He was hiding in caves, and to the point where he was hiding in enemy cities. Yet in all of that, David did not want to harm Saul. In that fear and anxiety and being on the constant run and not knowing what's going to happen in the future, David writes these words in Psalm 56:3. He says, "When I am afraid, I will put my trust in you." This idea that David gives us from the psalm is a picture into David's heart. David resolves to make God his confidence. And in doing that, the fears that David felt are silenced. My encouragement and challenge for us is that we would begin to memorize this verse. David did not root his faith in the circumstances changing. He did not root his faith in the hope that Saul would stop persecuting him. He put his faith in God, and when he did that, he began to have trust, and he turned his fear and anxiety into trust. When we fix our eyes and our hearts on God, we turn our fear and anxiety into trust, because we know that God is faithful, and we know that he's in control, and we know that as a son or a daughter, he is watching over us. So, may we begin to trust in God when we are fearful and anxious, knowing that he wants us to cast our cares on him. Like the Apostle Peter said in 1 Peter 5:7, "Cast all your cares upon God, for he cares about you." God is not distant or far off, even in this moment of life. He is near to us, and he wants us to come to him with our fear and anxiety so that he could turn our fear and anxiety into trust and confidence. So, acknowledge that there will be times of anxiousness and fear in your lives, but also acknowledge that you can, in that moment, turn to God and trust in him and who he is as a real person, and you will then live in confidence and hope for the future.